Hey, yes, I retired early and I was pretty much broke when I did it. So, how did I do it? And when I'm sharing my story with you, I like to at least think that I'm walking the walk and not just talking the talk. And this video is kind of in response to a comment I got on my last video yesterday. So, welcome to Goose Pond Hideout, and I'm Rob, and we really are here on our homestead property. So, let me read to you the comment that prompted me to make and share this video with you. Putting on my reading glasses here. I wrote it real big, but I put my glasses on anyway. So this is the comment. So, you're just a retired boomer who went the safe, conventional route, working decades and spawning kids and a family, and now just living comfortably with your pension and savings. Real profound. That's what it says. So, let me share my journey through life with you. And this isn't meant, I'm trying to get the notes stuck in my pocket there. This isn't meant to be like a whiny, I want you to feel sorry for me or anything like that. My goal really is to be inspirational to you, to get you to think outside of the hamster wheel rat race, and that, we just, the life that we're all supposed to want to live. And I just want you to be, driving the bus and control your life. So I'm trying to inspire you to be doing what you want to do. So I think the easiest way for that is I'm going to share with you my life from the moment I was born to today, all right? In a few minutes here. So, basically, I was born into a family that, everybody was more or less uneducated. My grandfather on my mom's side didn't even finish middle school. They were Wisconsin farmers, and back in his day, the boys quit school, 7th, 8th grade. And that was it. And then because you had to go work on the farm. And on my dad's side of the family, they're from Georgia, and they were all mountain hillbillies. Many of them lived in homes with no electricity, dirt floors, outhouses, and they were self-sufficient, living off the land hillbillies. So my mom's side of the family, Wisconsin farmers, and my dad's side of the family, mountain men hillbillies. And when I was really, really young, 4-ish years old, before I started school, my dad actually passed away. So, and he was a laborer. He was completely uneducated from the mountains, and he was, in today's terms, like a blue-collar label. He was a glorified ditch digger, whatever he could do, physical manual labor, to make money, which is probably what killed him. And so I grew up with the single mom, her working, and she had, went through training in that to learn. She didn't go to college or anything like that. And so she worked hard, and my maternal grandparents, my mom's parents, were like secondary parents for me. I spent a lot of time with them. And when I went to school, and this was a long time ago when things were a little bit different with childcare, and my mom would be off at work, and my grandma would call on the phone to make sure that I was, up and getting ready for school and that. And I walked to school back in those days. So, that was my life as a child. And I guess the point that I'm kind of getting to is, with that message there, is I'm like no trust fund baby or anything like that. I come from a bottom rung, work hard, make a few bucks kind of family. And, went to high school, and we lived in a good area. So I was lucky to go to a nice school, public high school. And I went off to college, in the 70s. And I went to a school up in Wisconsin. And back then, using round numbers, I'm just generalizing here for you, but my tuition and room and board was approximately $4,000 per year. So that's, $16,000 for all 4 years of college. And I worked in the summer, at a job, and I had some grants and some scholarships, and I had a student loan for like $3,000 for all 4 years. My payment was like 30 bucks a month when I got out of school on that. But I made almost enough to go to school at my summer job. And I know you young folks are going to say, well, that's why you boomers are screwed everything up. But that's life. Everything, we can all talk about our hardships in that. So then when I got out of college, I got married right away to wife number one. And I had 2 jobs. She was still in college, finishing up her schooling. And I walked to my first job. It's like 6:37 in the morning, and it was at a store, similar to like today with the Walmarts and Targets and that, but a local store, just a small store up in Wisconsin there. But it was, imagine walking into a little Walmart or a little Target, a little bit of everything in there. And I worked there. And then my wife would pick me up in our one car that we had. We had an old Ford, like a 71 or 72 Ford. And she would pick me up, and I literally changed my clothes, took off my store clothes in the back seat of the car. And then I bartended at a restaurant. And I was a bartender inside, at a restaurant. And then I walked home at like midnight, 1 in the morning. And so, nothing was handed to me, I guess is the point I'm getting to. I walked to my first job, changed my clothes in the back seat of the car, dropped off at my second job. And I did that for almost a year. And I finally decided, that was kind of hard work and that. So my wife, we moved down to the Chicago area, to the suburbs, in close to where that we grew up. And I got a job at a big healthcare company and working in corporate for a healthcare company. I didn't work in a hospital or anything like that, just a big office building. And I worked there for about 2.5 years in the corporate world. So that's kind of what the comment's getting at there, with all the perks and everything of working for a big company. But then they sold my company out to California, so then I had no job, and I was like, well, this isn't ever going to happen to me again. So I went out on my own, and that's when we moved up to Maine. And I worked at my own business. I had one employee that helped me out, and I have no 401k, I have no pension plan, I have no Roth IRA, nothing like that. I'm basically broke, poor. I just have what we have. And at that time, that was when I was 47 and we moved on to the sailboat, we sold everything we owned. We sold the house, we sold our vehicles, we, got rid of sold my tractor. And I had enough money to buy a sailboat that was broken down. The whole boat was solid, the hull, but everything, all the radios and the refrigerator and the stoves and the water pumps, and nothing worked in the boat. It had been neglected. But it only had one owner, so that was a positive. So I didn't have a bunch of things done to it. And we lived on a boat, and we had no bills. Living on a sailboat back in the early 2000s, we had no bills to pay. We had a cell phone. And back then they were just plain old little flip cell phones, no internet. I don't even think it had a camera or anything on it back in those days. It was just a phone. And we lived on the sailboat. We just had to buy groceries, and we ate rice and beans, and we might splurge and put some kielbasa or some hamburger or some chicken in it. We had all kinds of spices. We bought and we put this spice on it on Monday and this spice on it on Tuesday. And I mean, simple beans and rice. And, a big treat was getting a pint of ice cream from the grocery store, and we would eat the whole pint because we didn't have a freezer on the boat. And, again, just living that simple life. And then we bought the homestead, and it's the same thing with the homestead. The roof was shot. It had no heat. There was no heating system in the house at all. No furnace, no nothing. And the water, the plumbing, the pipes were busted and stuff like that. So we, bought it for basically what the land was worth, and we sold the sailboat, and then so we could get the homestead. And I fixed the roof myself. I fixed the plumbing myself. I fixed the electrical myself, and got it livable. I put in one of those wall propane units that doesn't require any electricity. I put in a wood stove, and we heat primarily with wood, and the propane is a backup in case it gets really, really cold, or if we have to be gone for a day or two. We know the pipes won't freeze and stuff. And that's, I don't know how else to say it, that we're living a simple life. I'm on Social Security now. Yes, I'm retired, and I get a Social Security check every month, and it's not that much because I have a bunch of 0 years, like when we were on the sailboat and that. So it's not like I'm getting a great big check every month. I just, and then they take it out for the Part B and Part D and all of that. So, but we don't have any expenses here. We've got to buy food to eat, and we have our own chickens, and we have a garden, and that. And our electric bill, the bill we just got the other day, it's $68 for our electricity, because we just don't use much, and we've got a little bit of solar that helps. And I checked my bank balance before I came out to talk here with you, and I have $236 in my bank account, and again, I don't have any kind of pension. I don't have any retirement plan. I'm not getting any money from a trust fund or anything like that. I'm just, I grew up living a simple life, and we're still living a simple life. And that's what I want to share with you is, this is the real deal, and you can really do it. You can quit a corporate job in your 40s, and you don't have to have all kinds of money saved up. You can be broke and still do it because you just, you make do week to week. You struggle and you do what needs to be done so that you can enjoy life. And it's a hard life. Last night I fell asleep in my chair, and it was 12:26 when I woke up. The TV's going, I'm in my chair, and I look at my watch, and it's 12:26. I passed out about 10:30. And so I get up out of my chair and I go to bed and go back to sleep. Take the dogs out, for a potty break or whatever. But, it's you being in control of your life. So I'm really hoping that this inspires you. I hope you believe me that, I don't know why that person obviously doesn't have any clue who I am. He didn't watch any of my other videos or anything to see about when we lived on the boat and moving to the homestead, and how we struggled to get by, but we're living the good life on our own. We're not dependent on anything like that. And so let me know, because it's, life is short, so I want you to be finding your freedom on this rock planet Earth. Freedom! Go for it.